this is it. 6 days, 52 games, and we are now set for the Flow Bowling PBA Illinois Open Finals here from Parkside Lanes in Aurora. I am Phil Brylow, once again joining me in the booth, Chris Barnes. And Chris, it has been a grind all week long, but we have 5 players who came out on top and now are trying to take down not just this title here for the Illinois Open, but there's some definite implications on USBC Cup points and money as well.
Well, certainly a lot at stake, but first things first is these guys, this is a group of the most talented and the most versatile and maybe the hottest players on tour all at the same time. And so shot makers abound everywhere in this final, and I think we'll see more of the same today, although the challenge is much different when you have to go back and forth. Yeah,
we already have 2 titleists that won earlier this week. Sean Rash won on the Wolf, Anthony Simonsen on the Bear. We'll see them in the 3-4 spots, but the opening match is going to be that man right there, Jason Sterner, taking on Anthony Simonsen.
Yeah, and Anthony's had a little bit of a struggle once we went to the multiple patterns. He had such a big lead that he was able to hang on, and he bowled good games here and there, but he didn't have as much success as some of the guys say, like Sterner, who made a pretty big charge to get up into the show, just sneaking by Bill O'Neill in the very last game.
Yeah, and there you saw Rash. Belmo, our number 2 seed, he's played all the patterns all kinds of different ways this week. We saw him on the Bear the other night in the Stepladder playing straight. He was wheeling today. And here's a guy that just had absolute money in match play with EJ Tackett.
Well, he likes this building, that's for sure. And he's been able to use kind of their covert tank, which is kind of their urethane-ish ball. He's able to move in and do that and use basically reactive. He has not used urethane on the Bear pattern like lots of the players did, so they can keep their angles closer on left lane and right lane.
Yeah, there are players waiting on the lanes for us to get started. I think it's time to get to Kirk Von Kruger for those player introductions.
Absolutely.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 2019 Flow Bowling Summer Swing presented by the Friends of Ebonite International. This is the Flow Bowling PBA Illinois Open. It's my pleasure to introduce 5 players for this afternoon's competition. Number 5 seed has 2 PBA Tour titles from Rochester, New York, Jason Sterner. In our first featured match, he'll be facing the number 4 seed, 7 PBA Tour titles, including 2 majors. From Little Elm, Texas, Anthony Simonsen. In that first match, we're going to face our number 3 seed, 14 career titles with 2 majors. He was the 2011-2012 PBA Player of the Year. From Montgomery, Illinois, Sean Rash. That number 5 will face our number 2 seed, 22 career titles, including 11 majors. That's a PBA record. He's a 4-time PBA Player of the Year from Australia, Jason Belmonte. Today, our number 1 seed only has to win 1 match to take home the PBA Illinois Open Championship. He has 13 career titles, including 2 majors. He was the 2012 PBA Rookie of the Year and the 2016 PBA Player of the Year. From Bluffton, Indiana, EJ Tackett.
And there you see the step ladder is set. Sterner Simonsen, your opening match. Winner moves on to take on Sean Rash. Jason Belmonte waiting for the semifinal match. And EJ Tackett, the long wait for Tackett, as he's going to try to get some revenge for what happened to him on Thursday night when Simonsen, in double overtime, took down the title from Tackett in the Bear Open. And a little discussion over what player is starting where. It shouldn't be a surprise. Everybody's been thinking that lane 27 is the tougher of the 2 lanes, and that's the lane that we have the Bear pattern on, Chris, as we are in mixed patterns here in the Stepladder final.
Yes, certainly. 27 has had more challenges all the way through our TV shows, generally speaking. That's Kirk telling us. Simonsen is going to start. Well, I take that back. Actually, the right lane is the one that's given more people trouble on the show itself. But in general, because the Wolf pattern has played a little bit easier, especially the guys with urethane, there's not that much risk of throwing it in the gutter. Most players would prefer to finish on that right lane.
So Simonsen was the higher seed coming into this match. He's choosing to start on the bear pattern, and he will finish on the wolf in the 10th frame after Sterner has completed his entire game.
I think as this goes on, though, after you get about 2 or 3 games in, the short pattern transitions a lot, and actually the left lane gets a little bit easier. I wouldn't be surprised if EJ wants to finish on that left lane.
And a big break there, taking the 9 out on the first shot for Simonsen. Simonsen, he was our leader coming into match play for the Illinois Open, and he held on to that at the conclusion of rounds 1 and 2 of match play, but fell back today into the number 4 spot. Had some trouble moving from pair to pair here at Parkside Lanes.
Yeah, I think the higher end of the building was a little bit trickier. Where I qualified low, I spent most of the time on the high end the first night. I thought the pair to pairs were a little bit more all over the place. Today I spent much more time on the low end and last night, and I thought the scores were a little higher down there in general.
There you see the stats for Jason Sterner. And the vicious wrap 10 to start.
And according to Brunswick ball rep Eric Kruss, Jason's going to throw 2 different heroes. You see where he averaged 224 on this, which is a combination of 14 games on the wolf, 14 games on the bear, and then 24 games on the combined pattern. He's going to throw 2 different heroes, and ironically on the short pattern he's going to throw a pin up, which typically people would throw a pin down on the shorter pattern to control the amount of hook, but he's going to throw a pin down on the left lane where they're a little tighter, but he's doing it to keep his shape and not have to go as far left to right, get just inside of where the urethane balls going down the lane are.
There is no one set of rules for how to play lanes out here in the PBA Tour anymore, except that's not the usual way to play the bear.
I tell you, the one common theme from all the reps.
There is no one set of rules for how to play lanes out here in the PBA Tour anymore, except that's not the usual way to play
the qualifying and the match play rounds.
Our match is here. Simonsen Bowl, second break.
See Simonsen there, almost 2 full pins higher per game than Jason Sterner.
And that is a lot more shape than we've seen from a lot of players in the past on that wolf pattern.
When players go back and forth with the urethane, and last night I thought there was a ton of urethane. It seemed like it was a little easier.
And that is a lot more.
Hooked more in the front and forced guys further left, which then of course made it harder for that urethane ball to make the corner down lane. And so you saw a lot less guys throw it today. Went with lower RG symmetrical type reactive balls that are a little slower to blend that out and able to not see the wiggle down lane.
And speaking of wiggle,
very fortunate there.
That seemed to wiggle a bit when it wanted to make the move at the end of that 41
to blend that out and able to not see the wiggle down lane.
And speaking of wiggle,
very fortunate there.
I kind of see why Simonsen wants the right lane in the 10th frame after those first 3 shots.
One real interesting thing was yikes, is that Belmo, who is one who did throw a lot of urethane on the left lane, did not spend much time on the left lane stretching that out and creating some hold there, which I think makes the middle lane a little bit easier.
So Sterner, I had to talk to him while he was warming up for the stepladder. He said he feels like he's free rolling right now. Second life getting into 5th place, and wow.
All right, the Tommy Jones key to success. He's just got to throw one more, and he should be fine. He'll be home.
Should win the match.
Unless he does it right now, in which case he probably will be at a huge disadvantage and have no chance to win.
Flash looking to bounce back where he kind of laughed at himself for it.
Yeah,
Maybe made a mistake.
The hardest part here is to commit and still get it out to around 2-3 and not pull it inside. You see, on the very fresh, that actually still goes high.
Yep.
And the urethane balls get it out to around 2-3 we'll stretch that 32 and not pull it inside. Down to 34, 35, 36. And then, only getting it out to 5 or 6 actually, can be okay at the end of the pattern.
So Sterner
no harm, no foul there. Actually takes a little lead with a gutter ball.
And the 6 does the job on the 10.
Well, the first feather in a cap right here. This is the first really good shot on the right lane. After his last one, not so sure where it might end up. That's a breath of, a sigh of relief.
Simonson's favorite sport when he's not bowling is soccer. And he kicks 10 down there.
Quite a bit of shape there. Idle Pearl. Again, that is a low RG symmetrical ball. It is, so one of the earlier rolling cores, that cover is a little bit cleaner than the pink Idle, which a lot of players did do that this week. It was hard to just use a lot of surface because the front of the lane did hook a little bit. And so when you did that, then the ball hit weak, almost worse than your urethane balls did. And so you end up having to use a medium cover and use the core to get it to roll in the mid lane and even it out. Well,
that was a ball change.
Ball change, big move to the right, a lot more speed. That was the other angle we saw a lot of players play. It's along the lines of what he did on the bear pattern to be at the top of qualifying.
Back up at it.
But that was a different ball. He was using a symmetrical ball before. That was a halo, much bigger asymmetrical, and that didn't see any bit of it once it got to the right. So that ball's going to be a one-off for him, as he's already taken it off the rack.
Okay. Last time we saw Sterner in the winner's circle was at the Striking Against Breast Cancer Mixed Doubles in 2017, where a last-minute pairing with Bridget Poplar put those two in the winner's circle.
Double there to go up by 36. Yeah, he was supposed to bowl with Cassie, and Cassie had a finger injury, couldn't bowl, and last minute Bridget came up and they made a little bit of magic together. They bowled fantastic, were able to knock down, I believe it was Jason
and Deandra.
Jason and Deandra at the very end.
So Sterner looking for 3 in a row and the moral 5-bagger.
Good shot there.
Yeah. The moral 5-bagger, yes.
Yes. No, so that first shot was just a nerve shot, evidently. A little afraid of getting it to the right. These last two have both projected through the front really well, sliding around 28, going through 17 to about 10 down lane.
Well, we thought Andrew Anderson had a great fall swing last year.
He's got the right lane figured out.
Yeah, Anderson went second, fourth, and second. Simonsen already with a first and a second here in the fall swing, and he's wasting no time. And
that's part irritation of what's going on. But the other thing, if he can step up and throw a really quick double, it would have also changed the pace of the match a little bit, which at this point, one of the few tools you have available to you in a televised stepladder.
Yeah, and that's no strikes and 4 attempts on that left lane for Simonsen. And if Sterner here can throw another couple on the board, make it a 5-bagger by the time he's done, it may not matter what adjustments Simonsen makes on lane 27 in the 9th.
He's got it matched up really well there on the right lane, and he doesn't even have to throw it right at the gutter, which is great news, because then if it gets to that point, it doesn't become an either or, where a small miss to the right becomes a gutter ball. He has some room to the right there. He can still go, extending his lead to 56 on a 2:30 pace. Max score for Simonsen, just 2:04.
Yeah, you just heard the shot there of Sean Rash on the practice pair. Rash awaiting the winner of this match. There's a ball there somewhere, and he gets lucky to take the 6 down. It's a good thing we put that ball in the witness protection program before it got to the head pin.
Yes.
So nobody had to see what happened, and Simonsen knows this one's pretty much done.
He's gonna take his turn here and get out of the way, but he is all but mathematically eliminated now.
And Simonsen, he's going to lose out on his shot at the top prize for the USBC Cup points, $20,000. He would have needed to win this event to lock it up. And he's got Sean Rash already in front of him in the standings and the points.
Oh, this is the pity, man. What's happened? He's won on the one pattern. He lost in the final on the other pattern. But in a very short format, basically 3 shots, he had one ball go high, one ball go light. It completely changed his game plan, and he lost the lane for 4 frames. The difference in a full game and 4 frames. All right, well he might have 78 or 75 in the fifth, and then he makes a change and finds a 3-bagger late for 2-0.
Yeah.
Well, here it just means you shoot 170 and you're out.
Yeah, and especially, that shot in the 8th by Sterner getting away with a terrible shot and taking the 6 out.
Now, the key for Sterner here, it's really easy after all the adrenaline goes up to just go, whew, and relax. But your adrenaline will come back up when he starts the next match. He's got to throw this shot like it matters. He's not going to get any more practice balls at any point. It's his one chance to throw extra shots. Good rhythm there.
Sterner moving on against Rash. Simonsen's going to take home a check for $5,000 for the 5th place finish. And we'll have to see where he ends up once the last ball is thrown and how much USBC Cup money Simonsen's going to be taking as well. There's a lot of scenarios out there. But the big scenario done, as no chance for the $20,000 on top for Anthony Simonsen. The good news for Sterner is he still has room to get into the top 8 for the USBC Cup. He's well on the outside looking in. He and Belmonte are actually tied in points, but it would take either Sterner or Belmonte winning this event to get into the top 8. That would knock Kyle Troop to the outside looking in for the invites to Austin for the Floor Bowling ATX invite and the China Tiger Cup.
Speaking on behalf of the other 7 guys that are already qualified, they'd probably like to not see Jason make it, but he is.
Well,
his history of winning is pretty strong. So,
and they all fall when it doesn't matter.
All strikes on that right lane and still shoots 184, and that's a perfect synopsis of what we saw throughout the week.
And a nice bit there, you saw Anthony Simonsen run over and shake the hands of proprietor Kirk Frieders here at Parkside Lanes.
All year round, only on flowbowling.com. Join and subscribe today. Coming up next, Jason Sterner.
And we're going to have Sterner and Rash coming up next. Great game there by Sterner. Couple lucky breaks. You got to get breaks during one-game matches like that. But the bad breaks on the left lane for Simonsen were really the difference in that match.
Yeah, I really actually think Jason's, he had threw the bad one in the first frame. After that, they were pretty good. The shot that did go high, they got the lucky strike on. I think it was almost as much a fact of the match was over and a little bit of a letdown on adrenaline. He threw great ones again in the 10th. He's going to hit the pocket a lot. It seems like he has control of the pocket on both lanes. Sean has got his hands full coming up next.
Yeah, I mean, Sterner coming back, gutter ball in the second frame, pardon me, came back with that quality strike spare and then just started stringing strikes after that. And once again, cruises to a 248. Sterner, what do you do now if you're Jason Sterner? I mean, you've got the right lane down. What do you do with the left lane?
Well, the good news for him is Jason is a hard practicer, and he's inside of his circle of things that he really likes to do. He's not having to over-manipulate. He's not having to over-trick anything. He can roll it. He can stay more up the back of it, which allows his lines to, he's not having to really get steep with it or really over-rotate it to try and make the ball come around the corner. This is his wheelhouse. So, this is also Sean's wheelhouse. And again, like we see lots of times when guys come on, those first couple shots for Sean will tell a lot of the story. 230 is a really good game on this, especially as the lanes transition a little bit. But Sean will have to come out and figure out that left lane, which seems to be pretty tricky.
Yeah, we haven't seen the last of Anthony Simonsen yet. Let's give you another look at the upcoming Simonsen Leave It Behind.
PBA Player of the Year.
What'd you think?
So it almost like taking a walk down memory lane, not only with the movie itself, but processing, everything through my head as I'm telling the story. So it's one of those things I don't really go around, pity pan and trying to get everybody to feel sorry for me. It's just kind of one of those things. I put my head down and keep moving. But the support, everybody coming out and watching it, and the words that they had to say were really special to me, honestly.
I must admit, over the last 6 months, 9 months, there is a more mature Anthony on the PBA tour, and like I said, he's going to be one of the best ever.
Me and Jason are actually, we're not super close, but we've definitely had some brother type moments. But for him to publicly come out and say what he said in the video, I think is definitely, it almost turns a light bulb on. Like, yes, the attitude's slowly getting better, but if we can kind of get that completely pushed out of the way, it's going to be really hard to beat me, I believe.
And you don't have to be on Flow Bowling right at noon on September 4th to watch Simonsen Leave It Behind, as it will be in the archives at flowbowling.com for you to catch at your earliest convenience. There you see the score of our opening match: Jason Sterner 248, Anthony Simonsen 191. I can't take credit for the tag. I gotta give it to TJ Arnold. Flash versus Rash coming up here in match number 2, and Rash getting the last of his practice shots in. There is PBA Hall of Famer Carmen Salvino with his lovely wife Jenny. 61 years of marriage for that lovely couple.
God bless her.
I always make sure whenever Carmen walks in the door, the first person I always say hi to is Mrs. Salvino. Kind of eats Carmen up that little bit. So Carmen participated early in the Flow Bowling Summer Swing. He bowled in the Wolf event, finished ahead of 10 other players in the field, but unfortunately Carmen had to withdraw after that. But good to see Carmen and Mrs. Salvino back here watching this championship round for the Flow Bowling PBA Illinois Open.
I think he actually would have had more success on the Bear than he did on the Wolf. Obviously, ball speed such a premium on that shorter pattern, and if that's one of the tools that's not as available to him now as it was before. He's in incredible shape for 83 years old. And,
the best handshake grip still, I think, on tour. If you're not ready for it, you might think your knuckles might crack a bit, because he grasps on and holds on. You got a good Carmen story while waiting for the end of the practice? Good one you've put in 30 seconds?
What?
You got a good Carmen, at least one good Carmen story?
One good Carmen story? There's a lot of good Carmen stories. I mean, he's the original showman of the PBA. I don't know if he's the Italian stallion, but he was one of the true.
Start the match on the left lane, which is the long pattern. Keep in mind they're bowling on dual patterns today. Long oil on the left lane, short oil on the right. Bear and wolf. As soon as we get our scoreboard ready, we'll be ready to start our competition. Ladies and gentlemen, how about a nice round of applause to kick off match 2 of the PBA Illinois Open.
I want to change the voice on the GPS on my cell phone to KVK. That'd be so soothing with, please make a left turn.
Good luck, bowlers.
It's very authoritative at the same time. You feel very positive that this is the right turn to make.
So interesting here, Sean having Sterner start the match on the left lane. I would have thought with the problem Sterner was having, Sean would have started the match off himself. Well, no problem for Flash.
Honestly, I don't think it had a ton to do with. I thought Jason had pretty good reaction on both lanes. I do think that Sean generally likes to finish first, and so that probably played into it. As long as he didn't have significantly different reaction on either of the two lanes. Sean, more than our first two players, will be playing the two lanes with much more similar trajectories.
And that 14th title for Sean came on Tuesday night here in the Wolf Open.
Was in. Sean also using a hero on the right lane, the same ball that Jason Sterner is using. I believe I've been told by Eric he's going to use a conspiracy hybrid on the left lane.
So the balls that Sean used Tuesday night to win the Wolf title aren't even close to coming out of his bag right now on that right lane.
No, I think the players, because of the strategies and the generally accepted strategy that is that the closer you can play your angles, speeds, and rotation to both lanes, the better off you are. And so a lot of players went to using urethane on the left lane to allow their angles to stay closer, and then something on the right lane, whether it's reactive or urethane, to play similar. And it appears that's what these players did as well. Well, certainly Sean, in this case. Instead of using urethane, he's using his hand to basically make the ball end over end and tumble forward. Crossing.
So they're letting the ball take away some of what they need to physically adjust, and that makes simplifies the game for them.
Well, yeah, if possible, they want to use balls that allow them to play both lanes similarly, so they can repeat basically the same shot. I did not find that to be very easy for me to do myself, and so I used a variety of balls on the right lane, from urethane and really playing straight to some earlier rolling, anywhere from flux to ordinances to kind of low RG symmetrical balls like what Anthony used to go around them a little bit on the right lane. And then left lane, I was much slower and played a line a little bit left of where Sterner did, probably close to what EJ is going to do. It's a little in too.
Now Sterner's good pattern this week early on was the Wolf Open pattern. Finished in 7th in the Wolf Open, slid back in the Bear, 47th, but he still had enough of a pinfall to get into the Illinois Open match play rounds.
And the advantage of having all that field trying to play the lanes closer to what they did on the Wolf is a big advantage to a player like Jason, who is able to keep his angles down a little straighter and do the things that he does best.
There's sideboards for a reason.
Yeah. That spare has been no bargain all week. As hard as it is on the Wolf, it's even harder on the Bear. So a pretty consistent strategy to not even try and hook it on the short pattern. It's hard to get it, keep it right long enough to get to the right side of the 3-pin, and then on the Bear, once you get it to the right side of the 3-pin, then it doesn't hook at all.
This is Sterner's best finish of 2019. First Stepladder final of the year. His best finish earlier was 6th at the PBA Hall of Fame Classic back in January. I guess if you can carry shots like that, it's going to be your day. Because, wow.
Breaks have a way of evening themselves out one way or the other, and so
3 on the deck. As long as they're horizontal, it's a strike.
Honestly, throughout the round robin, a lot of those shots would actually stay there, and you wanted to do that more than you wanted to go hard left to right. But so far, none of the players using urethane on the left lane at all, so very, very little carry down.
Yep, that pin never had a chance rolling around to get to 10.
No.
Take an extra look, and the ball motion just turn and
very,
roll.
Very, very end over end, trying to trap it off the gutter, and that time he got it to roll out just a little bit too quick. When I say trap it, there's a little bit more friction on 1-2 than there is at say 3-4-5 down the lane, and so he's trying to get it to where he can get it to 1-2 and it doesn't overhook off of it and go high, and at the same time use the end to end that it picks up and gets that down lane oil the urethane's created.
So Sean Rash came into this event after the first 8 USBC Cup point events in the lead, but the only way he locks it up for sure is taking down this title in the Illinois Open.
Best shot of the game for Sean. Keeps him within 2 pins, although Sterner will have a chance to extend out to 12. Great shot here. Post this one up a little further right than last time. Last time was 11 to maybe 8. That time was way closer to 9 to about 6 or 7.
Sterner, pretty good run over the last 10 days. Not only the 7th place in the Wolf Open, but the 7th place finish at the PBA BowlerStore.com Classic in Coldwater. That finished up last Friday.
There we go.
Yep. And it got up and went, but the wrong way.
Well, once again, he's on a single strike, so no harm, no foul. As long as he makes the spare, it's the same as just a ringing 10.
Yeah, well, going for a different PBA record. Most gutter balls in the Stepladder final where you take out the championship.
He hasn't even got to the same number in the same game. So, we're, my friend Mr. Jones still. They rolled a stranglehold on the title match gutter ball for the victory. Stat once again following up his gutter ball with another spare. You see it gets out 2-1 and just.
And watching his feet at the foul line, much more stable on that spare shot than he was on the strike ball. The strike ball had the heel pop up a bit.
Yeah, you get a little bit forward basically, and that's once you get in front of it, that's when you miss it at the bottom. It doesn't pick up as soon.
That picked up nicely.
Well, it has. And that's his best shot of the match for sure, and maybe even the day. This one here is as good as it gets. Perfect balance through, and that ball just mows, splits the 8-9. Picture perfect strike. Still up by 2, but Sean has a chance to take a lead change. Last time a little bit too much up the back of it. Now does he move closer to it, or does he move left and get around it just a little bit?
And the noise in the crowd.
I'm not even sure it's noise of the crowd. The thing is, he has to do something a little bit different, and there's probably just still a touch of indecision there.
Okay.
I don't know that for him. I know that for me. that comes into play. Little small distractions come into play there when you're not 100% committed to what you're about to do. And more around it.
And a lot better finish through the pocket.
So I added just a little bit more axis rotation. Thumb from 12 instead, moved over around 11 or so, added maybe 5 degrees of axis rotation, and you see that ball continue through the pins versus rolling out, and basically finished on the right side of the 9-pin the last time.
Sean Rash was 14th on the Bear Open after his win Tuesday night on the Wolf.
Good shot. It looked like he moved left and tried to do the same thing with his hand on the left lane too, again, so he could repeat the same shots. Sometimes that doesn't work very well on 2 different length patterns, and it very nearly did not right there. It certainly did not make more shape down lane for him than I think he was hoping for.
Yeah, that was a stare down and the hope all the way.
Yeah, execution-wise, that's exactly what he wanted, but the actual ball motion-wise, very fortunate. Up by 22 now, or I'm sorry, 18 now. Sterner a chance to cut it back to 8. And in the
Whoa.
Whoa. Called it too soon. It's just about tied up, Mr. Jones, right there.
Can we get an official USB-C measurement on that lane width?
Well, if the other 2 hadn't gone in, it's definitely not a high gutter. But to your point earlier, that time, balance-wise, much better. Basically the exact same shot, but because his leverage was better, his head was in front of his knee, so his hand hadn't rolled over the top. He didn't miss it just slightly. That one does actually pick up and make it back. Huge difference for him. It puts him in position to take the lead again.
Yeah, for a lot of people new to the sport of bowling, your upper body has as much to do with how that ball goes down the lane as just your hand and shoulder does.
Left. It's good news for him right there. Very simply, your shoulders, left and right, are accuracy as far as left and right. Your upper body tilt as far as forward and back determine the length of your ball from the front to back of the lane. Although generally inversely, the further forward you are, the longer your ball ends up going, because the less leverage you have at release.
get the lead back.
There we go. We talked about it's so hard to come on the lane and get those first 3 shots. Jason didn't take advantage of the fact that Sean was a little bit uncomfortable early. Gave him a few free swings at it. Now he's in rhythm. It's going to be tough to beat from here on.
Rash never lower than 5th during the 24 games of match play. And he ended up in 5th at the end of the round last night, but came back through match play today, ended up in the number 3 position, average of 223.6 for the week on a 15-9 match play record.
Exceptionally tough to do in front of your hometown and with all the other things that he's taken on to help out in the organizing of this event. Wow.
How do you adjust on a ring 10?
It just doesn't almost make sense. The last shot goes by it, got too deep in the lane, and he crumbles the bucket. This one is absolutely flush all the way. It's been a little bit tough. There's been a lot of ringing 10s on that left lane. And because of the angles and lack thereof, it's tough to really change your mode of attack when you're playing that little 12-8 shot. He can move a little bit back right and go back up the back of it again, but that means he has to do something different on that lane than he does on the other lane.
Yeah, pretty interesting. One of Sterner's better finishes this year on the Winter Tour was when we had in Lubbock, we had the Wolf and the Scorpion, 32 and 42, and Sterner finished in 20th there. The 6-pin tried to stop the head pin from getting to the 10.
This is why you spend so much time practicing. It's not so that your great shots are great. You want to make them more often, but this one's a little bit in, but his balance is good enough that it still stretches. It got actually a little bit behind the head pin, and fortunate to send that head pin flying back across. Jason, along with Sean, because they're more end over end, more control type, control the pocket type players, don't get a ton of those bird dogs like you see from Jason, from EJ, from some of the other players. Up by 3, chance to go to 13. Ooh.
Absolutely pure by Flash.
Sterner extends his lead to 13. Sean Rash bowling 19.
And Sterner in the jersey of his favorite soccer team, Atlanta Football Club, same colors.
Sean, still an opportunity to max score out at 247. Sterner on 240 pace.
Something hit the head pin and moved it forward on the path back to the 10. Just get an extra look at the pinfall.
Just slightly more up the back of it this time than the last time. Again, we're talking about 2 or 3 degrees. We're not talking about some complete miss or anything like that. His balance was good. I mean, that's a rotational clock of about 20 minutes. It's just not very much at all.
Well, Rash, the winner
in big trouble.
Yeah, Rash, the winner on the Wolf, 14th on the Bear, and it's starting to almost look like it's going to be a 4th place finish here on the Illinois Open.
Still a little hope here. He throws all 3 in the 10th, shoots 236. He'll force Sterner to fill 17 in the 10th frame.
Ooh.
Boy, the ring 10s on that lane are going to end up being his undoing. So, we're not completely done yet. We've seen a pate or 2 before, so it's not...
Well, that's the thing. If Sterner tries to keep it away from the ditch, that could be even a bigger problem.
It brings some other things into play, for sure. It's the one thing about finishing on the right lane is that there's not an easy bailout. On the left lane, you make a pretty good shot, and it's fine. But the penalty of 0 can be such a psychological factor that can cause a different error if you let it happen. Not much difference between those last 3 shots on that left lane. Ring 10, and of course on the fill ball, the Murphy's Law shot of all time. He could have thrown that one backwards between his legs and probably struck on that one. So 225. Basically, Sterner, if he gets 9 on this shot, will have enough to shut him out. Good shot. Yep.
Sterner moves on. Rash in fourth. Belmo coming on for the semifinal match against Sterner.
Heard a little squeak in the middle there. I thought he might have caught himself. That's not a normal sound. Right as his right foot went forward, it chirped just slightly on the approach. Got it up in the air. Let's see if the up in the air part was on purpose or.
It was a chirp again.
Yeah, so maybe he does it all the time. That's the first time I heard it that loud. So he is lofting it just slightly, and you know, against all odds, I didn't foresee him falling to 240 with another giant score, but 260. Flash.
No Ming the Merciless facing Sterner yet.
Well,
Could Jason Belmonte fill that role in the semifinal match? We'll find out next. So, match number 2 in the books. Jason Sterner, huge score to take out Sean Rash. He moves on to take on Jason Belmonte. And it's just been weird for Sterner. First game, left lane was the issue. Second game, couple errant shots in the right lane. Still finished out strong. What does Sterner need to do to get it all together here? Because, you know, he's for a big match coming up against Jason Belmonte.
I don't know about get it all together. He shot 508 for the 2 games. It seems like he's doing just fine. The one thing I do expect to happen, though, is Jason's going to throw urethane, I believe, on both lanes, unless he changes strategy. And that will create, because of his rev rate, will create a little more friction in the front. That might not affect Jason too much because he's going to be a little left of him anyway. But on the right lane, or on the left lane for sure, it'll start creating a little bit of carry down. And he'll also have some carry down on that right lane. Easy for the ball to get behind, start leaving a couple of flat 10s. And all it takes is a couple, and we know what happens when Jason gets opportunities.
Yeah, and there's some unique scenarios going on right now. Moving on to that USBC Cup competition. Right now, Kyle Troop is sweating it out because the 2 men that can knock him out of the top 8 are bowling this match with Belmo and Sterner. Rash is going to be sweating it out because if EJ Tackett wins the tournament, EJ Tackett also takes the USBC Cup first place against Rash. So there's a lot of scenarios going on here at Parkside Lanes in Aurora.
Well, good news, bad news for Kyle is both those guys can't make the final. So he will at least have a 50-50 chance. The bad news for both of those guys, though, is someone is going to end up dropping either a spot or be eliminated. And, you know, whoever wins this match is obviously great players. Either Jason with a ton of momentum, Sterner, going into the final game, or the best bowler in the world is going to have his chance to take down another title. Yeah,
and EJ Tackett, I mean, he's been waiting in the wings for a while now. He had such a spectacular 24-game match play block. What is EJ doing right now? Because he's getting some practice shots in here on the championship pair.
Yeah.
Is he just getting a feel, or what exactly is he doing right now?
Yeah, I mean, he's going to make sure that his same look that he's had. EJ is not a big-time tinker looking for the perfect ball reaction guy. He's just going to see how much the lane hooks now compared to when he was on practice earlier and how big a move he's had to make. And so it'll be just kind of some lineup shots, and so when he comes back, he'll be pretty well dialed in, real close to it when he comes back for his final 8 shots.
So we've got some practice remaining for these players before we get into our semifinal match. Jason Sterner versus Jason Belmonte. We'll be back with that next year. Flow Bowling, PBA Illinois Open rolls on here on Flow Bowling. And there's your stepladder to this point. Sterner, 507 for the first 2. And a big fight on his hands. It was down at first ball of the 10th frame for Sterner. Still needed to perform. And he was clutch with the strike. Now we're going to have Sterner and Belmonte coming through. Belmo finishing off his practice.
And really a little unlucky for Sean. The flat 10s on the right lane aren't really so much unlucky as far as he trapped it a little bit too much, and the ball got there a little bit too flat, rolled out just in front of where he wanted it to, maybe 12 inches too quickly. But the left lane, he pulled a great game on that left lane after the first frame, and really didn't get anything to show for it. And 2 strikes there. I mean, that's a 30-pin swing. It would have been an entirely different 10th frame.
And I think that was Belmo's last practice shot that went into the ditch on the right lane. So that's not a way you want to
Very confidence inspiring. A lot of times I like to do that where, at least for myself, 90 to 95% of my misses will be to the left. And so my very last shot will be the furthest right I can throw it, and just to confirm that, hey, I can get it to that spot and still get it off of it. The problem is when it goes in the gutter, eliminates a board or two away from what he could do.
So the lane selection's been made, and it looks like it's going to be Jason Sterner starting things off on the bear pattern on the left lane.
All right, it looks like we're ready to go, fans. How about a big round of applause?
I anticipate Sterner to see a lot more transition in this game, and this is where things started to get a little dicier as we got into Game 3 and Game 4 with a bunch of urethane going down the lane. A little more hook in the front and get way tighter down lane. Now the flip side of it is we saw no urethane in match 1 or 2.
Is it tough for a PBA player to change their eyes to adjust to that urethane carry down in the middle of a step ladder?
At this point in the match, it's not, you don't really break it down any more than just moving ones and, some players will throw it slower for it to roll through that oil down lane, and some players will just move their feet right and get up against it and use it as hold. Jason has the ability to do both because he doesn't use a ton of axis. Jason Sterner can do either one. Most players out here will just throw a little slower and let it roll through.
There's the man number 1 in the Flow Bowling PBA Power Rankings. And that's an interesting start.
That is also not urethane, which is good news. Well, his last ball was urethane in practice that went in the gutter, and so and as we see, we didn't re-rack it after the gutter ball. So he just wants to do over here, I believe. So
is that in the PBA rules yet? If you're number 1 in the Flow Bowling Power Rankings, you get a mulligan during a step ladder? Yeah, I don't think the players would go for that.
Yeah, I'm not sure we've seen one of those since Bob Learn.
Yeah.
So
that's 20 years now, isn't it, with Bob? Yeah, that's 99.
Yeah. No, before that.
Was it before that? Okay.
Yeah. 96, I believe.
Flagship opening.
Yeah.
So Belmo's going to
made me want to go on tour.
You see Belmo there, 226.19 average over his 52 games, and the 17-7 match play record.
Averaged basically the same thing that Anthony averaged, but he won. He had another 105 bonus pins, which is...
He's been doing that all week long. We've had him in the Bear Open, Cashers round. He made a 2-10 one game, 4-9 the next game, couple of washouts, and he makes it like he's leaving single pins.
You want to know how to become the best in the world? Throw the best strike ball, and then work on your weaknesses and become one of the best spare and split makers on tour at the same time. It's a hallmark that Mark Roth made his thing. One of the most accurate and best spare shooters to go along with the most powerful strike ball, and it's reinventing himself right here in front of us.
And both those players, Roth and Belmonte, I believe, way underrated by the general public on that spare game.
And there's the urethane ball on the left lane. Ironically enough, urethane on the left, reactive on the right. We'll see if that changes next time around after that 4-9. But that's where his last practice ball with the urethane ball going in the gutter spooked him away from doing what he had been doing, or I think what his original game plan was going to be.
Second frame for Sterner working on a strike.
Find out if that urethane affected his ball at all. Yes. Ooh. You see it. It started to gain traction at the 30-foot mark, started to get up the hill, and then it looked like it just lost contact with the lane right there.
Yeah.
And instead of mowing through the 8-9, deflects across, almost 7-10s.
No problem on the cover.
So one of the advantages you have by being a higher seed is you get some practice balls, and it's probably the only disadvantage of being a lower seed. Because generally speaking, you're comfortable with the lane, you know what's going on. But these first couple of frames, you might have to You might have to change what you're doing just slightly, depending on how much the player with practice changed the lane. All tied up through 2. Both players with strikes on the left lane.
And another head pin in front of the 10. Can you make a move off that?
Well, the first one was pretty much perfect, so. But I do expect that he will have to probably throw it a little bit slower on that left lane. That's all the carry down from the urethane ball, just changing how much traction his ball has down lane slightly. It's not a ton.
Belmonte leads by 1 pin, holding third frame.
Well,
You can see him in the back in the shape. And what he's doing right there is confirming in his head what he wants to do next time over there. See him on his phone. He's going to put in where he's going to. He does some notes similar to I do. He's going to put in where he's standing, where he's looking, confirm that in, type it in, and now it's locked in for his next shot.
looking for the double. Too much ball?
Wow.
I mean, 4-9 and 9 back to back.
4-9 is just, I mean, that's not actually a pocket shot, and that's
Okay.
something with his angle. Occasionally you're leave the 9 there. It's high, but to where he's kind of trapping it, almost rolling it out, that I would say is more of a bad break.
Okay.
If it's his normal thing where he's creating 6 degrees of entry angle, it's going to happen a lot from there, but that actually stopped and still 9-pinned. So a little unfortunate after a move off of 4-9 where he probably moved as much as 2. I wouldn't have expected it to get back that close, running by the 9-pin again. So, with that though, because he struck on the left lane last time, still has a 1-pin lead, both players on spares. And Jason choosing to finish on this left lane. Belmonte, that is.
Belmo got that 11th major to break the record he had with Pete Weber and Earl Anthony at the World Championship. Took down Jacob Buttroff in the championship match in Detroit. With shots like that.
Pretty amazing how much room he can create in the front 25 feet of the lane. It's not always about down lane. Last shot was right earlier, rolled off of it, no problem. That one was in and a little bit longer. Got back, basically fed to the same spot at 35 feet, and from there just arced off of it. Playing very little shape down past the 30-foot mark.
Stay within 1. Does so successfully.
And he opted just to catch it more right there. You saw at the bottom, he just grabbed onto it a little bit, made it pick up. You can see and talk about, I got to get it to pick up and roll through that spot now. I can't just shove it down there anymore.
It's got to be a tough spot for Sterner 2.5 games in here to even have to try to think about a ball change if something goes wrong.
No, it's not really a ball change, but it's the same thing that happens every time you bowl in a squad. Okay. And so just because you're not changing pairs doesn't mean the pair's not changing.
Get that t-shirt at chrisbarnes.com after the round's done, and there's a mixer for Sterner.
That's a lead change. Sterner by 9.
And the voice of Kirk Von Kruger telling us
Fifth frame.
Sterner now in the lead.
Try to do the same thing and just catch it a little bit more. It did not make it pick up as much as he thought, so still another small move for him. My guess on that lane, that would be the speed change where he'd get a little softer there and keep his angles open though.
Is that ball change? No, it's not a ball change.
Nope.
Definitely better result, but not a ball change.
Yeah.
He takes the lead by 1 pin.
Can't tell if that's a high road or not.
I think it's a high road. Oscar said when we had him in the booth during match play that almost made a lot of money with that ball over the last couple of years out here on tour. Some form of the high road. And then back to the pitch black.
Yeah, he had an older Nano that has a bunch of games on it, so it tames out. It's not nearly so aggressive down lane for him, which is another way that he can do it, is basically wait till they're saturated with oil, so they're not so responsive. Oh!
And the head pin does nothing.
Now, with the angles being that flat, that's, you know, normally a little flat 10 wouldn't be that big of a surprise, but with the rev rates that he creates, as well as, you know, Simonsen and Troop and EJ, they don't leave very many of them.
No, the bottom of that 6-pin was almost perpendicular to this kickback and just went straight down to the flat gutter. We saw him miss a 10-pin during the bear the other night.
He did. He did. And players have had some trouble in that left lane, and occasionally, I think the 3P gets a little bit up, you know, gets a little bit deep on the players, and so, you know, relative left to right, they're almost dead on spot, but sometimes I think it gets slightly deep and it makes it pretty easy for guys to leave flat 10. It's not a big deal. There's 2 re-racks left, you know, per game. You gotta catch it and make the re-rack.
Tack another 10 onto the advantage. And how about that? I think he used the paint on the bottom ring on the neck to hold on all the way across the pin deck.
This is one of the most unusual bird dogs you'll ever see. I'm not sure if that was a 4-pin or the 7-pin, where basically the butt of the pin stayed on the lane, the head stayed off, and so it rolled directly across without either falling off or rolling around in either direction. Almost never happens.
It just
huge break. Brings the lead to 10. Chance to move that lead to 20 now.
And now you just mentioned that re-rack. I can't really tell from where we're at in the booth whether that 3-pin was actually off or if he's just bringing the emotion level back down.
I think he needed a moment to collect himself here. It's a big shot and an opportunity. He may not get another one.
Seventh frame, another strike for Sterner.
Watch pace-wise. I don't think we have the mile per hour up there, but that's from the shot before. That one, that was a little softer with his speed. Didn't miss any part of that one, and that one got picked up. He was talking about earlier, moving his hands back towards into him. Got the ball to pick up in front of that oil down lane instead of trying to make it hook down there.
Uh-oh.
No, that's fine.
Wow.
No problem. And I did get confirmation that's a high road nano, and that's that one I saw him throw it during the round robin as well when he moved in. It's just got a ton of games on it, so it's still an atomic bomb in his hand, but it's got so much oil in it now that it actually is a little tamer than most of the reactives are for him.
If the pores are full on a reactive resin bowling ball, can't absorb more oil off the lane, can it?
Well, it's still reactive, but it's going to be less so for sure. I mean, it's all a chemical reaction, and that's why you see so many players wiping the oil off the ball. Not only does it make the surface fresh for each shot, but it also stops as much of that oil absorption and that chemical change from happening as possible.
So Sterner's still up by 20. Belmo can take it down to 10 as he steps up in the 8th frame. We'd read Belmo's list of achievements, but we only have the remainder of this and the final match to dedicate to the Illinois Open.
Gotta go. A little too wide in the front. It tried, but yeah, that's a rare error on his part where it got away from him a little bit going left to right. And as you see, if we scan the crowd just a touch there, a few the new fad taking over not only America but pretty much the world. You leave a 5-pin, and if you were to happen to miss it, that you would owe everyone with a hand up a beverage.
Don't see the best in the world missing a 5-pin.
Well, there are some things on that short pattern where you can. There's a little small miss in, especially in game 1, but yeah. Him missing that one there is probably akin to Walter Ray missing one as well. I guess in theory it could happen. It's just not going to.
Yeah, that would be the unicorn of the PBA Tour.
Well, here's the situation now. Sterner's on 229 pace. Belmonte's max score is 229. Boy, that's his best shot of the whole game on the right lane. Once again, seeing him post a shot up and then watch which direction he moves. He's not hoping this ball hooks. This is all about carry. You start moving to the left, you know it's good.
And there you see Flash once again, back at the approach. Bring it down. Giving himself that second to rest.
Up 30 now, on 230 pace. Spare is enough to win.
Nice frame on the bear lane. And the head pin doesn't do the job on the 7.
Yeah, a little bit wide. I think he was pleased that got back to the pocket even. A little bit firm.
And watch that head pin just go to the sideboard and fight the 4 pin for what gets to go to the 7.
It was online, actually. It was probably with, not more than under a board away from his perfect target line. And so, but slightly firm, and with the oil that is getting added in down lane with each ball that Jason throws, that's not the miss he can make. He can't be firm. So happy with 9, still in a position where a mark will shut out Jason, provided that Jason now, his only hope is to strike out, put just a touch of pressure on him.
Yeah, mandatory strike mode for Belmo. Here in the semifinal match, EJ Tackett waiting in the wings to see who takes home this championship of the PBA Flow Bowling Illinois Open. And
bounced. Wow.
Was that farther right than last time on that lane?
Just it got there a little quicker.
Okay.
But it wasn't ever in danger of going in the gutter.
Yeah.
That's actually a little bit of a surprise. I don't think he was worried about it overhooking. He's made probably a 2 or 3 board move since the very beginning of the game. I don't think he saw that coming at all. Executionally, I think that's pretty close to what he wanted to do. If he had to go back again, he'd end up having to move a couple more boards left again.
Well, Belmo was 14th on the Wolf, 4th on the Bear, and it's starting to stare in the face that it's going to be a 3rd place finish here for Belmonte.
Well, for those players bowling the ATX, the #1 player in the world has been eliminated.
But he's going to,
provided Flash can keep one on the lane here.
right. Interesting sign in the crowd. They turn around the Sean Rash large, big head, and they change it to Jason Sterner's face, just in writing on the back of the Sean Rash.
Doing the math.
Mm-hmm.
At least that's the theory.
Amongst other things.
Yeah.
Balancing his checkbook. Because
he's gonna let him sit there for a little while.
3rd place, $7,000 for this event.
Now even that doesn't really matter. So 208. Sterner needs 1 pin in either of the 2 shots now.
Yeah.
I do like his chances.
Now, you mentioned the importance of Belmo not being at the ATX invite. Another thing, along with the $25,000 on top of the ATX invite, that's the last event that counts on the PBA Tour money list for 2019 for the PBA Clash in November on Fox. So that might leave another spot open for somebody else to get enough money at the ATX invite, let's say like a possibly Jason Sterner or possibly EJ Johnson, and make their way into the Clash as well.
Really threatened the gutter on that one.
Jason Sterner will go on to face EJ Tackett in the championship match. Please do it one more time for Jason Tackett.
So that's the big question now. Could Sterner finish climbing the ladder? Or is EJ Tackett going to kick him down a couple of rungs? We'll find out when that championship match starts here shortly. Flow Bowling PBA Illinois Open Championship match coming up next.
#1 seed EJ Tackett will get 8 practice shots on the.
Jason Sterner, another victory on the stepladder. Climbing his way up. Big man on campus, ready to knock him back down, though, with EJ Tackett in the championship match. EJ Tackett, what's the strategy now coming on for EJ after having Belmo kind of change things around? Because Belmo used some urethane on that right lane during his practice. Does that change EJ's strategy?
I don't think it changes it a lot. He's been using a low absorption reactive for a while in this right lane. In the left lane, he's going to use the new ball that's hasn't even been publicly announced yet. And we'll probably announce the name here shortly. Yeah. But I don't foresee a whole lot of changes in EJ's game plan this time around. I do think where sometimes when you're the leader, you can kind of defend, feel like you're defending your territory a little bit. Mm-hmm. After the stepladder the other night, I think EJ feels like he's got something to prove. I think he'll come out guns a-blazing, and this may be the one guy that can actually threaten Sterner's run to victory.
Yeah, I mean, Sterner's had some pretty solid scoring out here as we watch Sterner finish off with a couple of strikes here from that semifinal match against Belmo. How do you keep the mentality of EJ Tackett knowing I've shot 260 and lost? I'm probably might need 260 again to win. How do you keep that I must strike mentality going? Is that something you can do out here on the tour?
Well, I don't think he's all that worried about who he bowls. I mean, these guys are all the best in the world. This is a killer stepladder that he's had to go through between Simonsen, Belmonte, Rash, and now EJ Tackett waiting at the top. It's not like it gets any easier. So I think the target score probably hasn't changed much. He's still going to be looking to shoot 250. He's got plenty of ball reaction to shoot that. He's just got to execute. No more urethane, so I don't think there's going to be a lot of big moves. And again, it's just getting the ball to go through the pins, all 12 shots.
Yeah, and I guarantee you there's two guys in the building right now that are going to be huge Jason Sterner fans. One of them being Sean Rash, the other one being Kyle Troop.
I don't think,
hold on.
No, Troop is not a Sterner fan.
Troop is a EJ Tackett fan.
We got split alliances here. If we get both those guys set side by side, I imagine the cheering would be relatively strong for alternate players. Yeah, like you said earlier, the scenario is if Sterner wins, Troop gets knocked out of the ATX series and the China Cup. If EJ wins, that knocks Rash from first to second, and that big bump in the pay scale for the USBC points list.
I mean, realistically, it's a $20,000 swing for EJ Tackett in this match.
Yes.
So
yes. 20,000 for first, 10 for second, 20,000 for first in the USBC points cup list, and 10,000 for second. So
there you got a peek at the trophy and the USBC Cup as we're going to get started here with this championship stepladder match shortly. Jason Sterner, EJ Tackett. EJ finishing up his practice out here, and EJ going back, making sure he's got everything clear.
It's an autograph bowling pin by our five finalists today. All right, this trivia question includes this gentleman right here. His name is John Weber. His name is John Weber. He has a brother in the PBA Hall of Fame. Who is it? Who is it? Are you sure? P. Weber. That's right. John Weber is P. Weber's brother. Congratulations.
So EJ Tackett taking his last couple of practice shots out here on the mixed patterns. Bear on the left lane, Wolf on the right. And EJ Tackett, as top seed in this event, will have lane choice. And you see Sean Rash still out there. Sean, as proprietor Kurt Frieders noted earlier today, really the key to getting the summer swing here in Aurora. Sean Rash out hustling, knocking on doors, getting sponsors, and really helping bring this great event to Aurora.
We have reversed arrows. Jason, when you're ready to go, you can begin your competition. One more round of applause for our championship match, ladies and gentlemen.
So Sterner is going to be starting things off here in the championship match. And there should be no reason for the game plan to change for Sterner on either lane after Tackett's. What's your usual educated guess if you were following Tackett right now? What would you have moved on this left lane if you're Flash?
maybe just one. Just Just one of the good news is it's not urethane, so it should just be more hook in general, not really. It's not going to be really a tighter down lane situation.
So Sterner, flat 10, starting the match. Sterner's first PBA Tour title came back in 2013 in Detroit when he almost threw a perfect game on TV, 299, 235,
right? Yeah.
against West Malott at about midnight.
At the vaunted Thunder Dome.
Also had a couple pretty good finishes, did Sterner. Fourth in the Bowlers Scorpion Championship that year and fifth in the Lucas Oil Milwaukee Open during the inaugural summer swing back in 2013. Here's the man.
Go EJ.
Many say the second best in the world currently, and he can't get the flat 10 to go.
Yeah, we kind of keep waiting for a little rivalry between him and Jason. They both make a ton of shows, but they haven't bowled each other a ton yet. And some of that is, although they have two of the highest rev rates on tour, they actually have two very different axis rotations where EJ is more up the back of it, and Jason is much more around it, creating more angle down lane. And so they don't always make a ton of shows together, even though, at times each of them are certainly in the smallest of circles as the most dominant players.
Yeah, the one time that happened this year, very notable because Jason Belmonte took down the Tournament of Champions for his 10th major over EJ Tackett in the championship match, 225 to 196.
On the left lane, the first two-color ball for Motive in a long time. The Forged Fire making its debut.
That's a hell of a debut.
Yeah.
Take 10 down like that. Of course, it is EJ Tackett throwing it.
It's an even match.
He does make him look all right, typically. Boy, and he is actually a little bit deeper than Jason, so maybe if you're bowling a lot, you wouldn't want him to be left of you for a long time, but for a couple of shots, probably not a huge deal.
So the adjustment back to the wolf pattern for Sterner.
Boy, perfect.
That 8 tried to tease him for just a fraction of a second. The ball said, no, I will slide you left off the pin deck. And we get another look at another quality shot by Jason Sterner.
Great shot there.
Spare strike both players after 2 frames. And Sterner, he's not kidding. He is a die-hard bowler. 52 games to get to this point in the stepladder. 3 games in already. And in game 56, he's just throwing it as good as he has all event long.
Sterner leads by 10.
The number of games this week isn't going to affect Jason. He is a practice guy. He is a hard worker, and certainly this is just a nice little kickstart at 56. He could bowl another 30 this week, I think. So
One title. Oops, sorry, Chris. One title for Tackett this year. The PBA, the Barbasol PBA Tour Finals in Las Vegas. And he matches.
There to witness that, and that was his first breakthrough in a little over a year and a half at that point. And thought we were going to see another one last night. Emotions all over the place, where he had that ball in hand and then made a late mistake and thought he'd lost, and then got another chance, and what a roller coaster, and to come back and then lead this event after that kind of roller coaster is it tells you a little bit of what somebody's about when they see a little adversity, and do they go away or they come back harder than ever.
And piece of tape.
Got the tape issue with this ball. Is he putting one in or taking one out?
Putting one in. He made a little cut to the piece and then put it in a little bit of a sandpaper in the thumb hole. Likes a little texture, apparently.
Sometimes you get a little dirt, a little gummed up, and you want to make sure that everything's clean there. 2 things happen on a TV show. It's much warmer than it is pretty much any other time.
Yep.
And the adrenaline's going through your body, so your hand can also shrink, depending on how much you're affected by each. Will determine whether you take tape in or taking it out.
Go EJ.
Push. That didn't come off his hand very good.
And happy the 9's gone, but still on that bear pattern, 3-6-10, never easy.
That. He'd like to have this one back. This is not he was hoping it would push through there, but the lack of urethane at all out of these top 5 players, where we saw maybe 15 out of the 24 using urethane in the left lane. Ooh, had a big mistake.
He's going, how did that happen?
He shoots it from so far left,
Yeah.
and basically almost backs it up. Basically does back it up.
Well, you
Slides
mentioned
40.
You mentioned that 3-pin's been back a little bit sometimes on the full racks.
He hit the inside of it and still chopped it. It's just, yeah, I mean. And Sterner doing what he's done in every single match when somebody's provided him an opportunity. He stepped on the gas, thrown another great shot.
Watch that ball just roll up, strong through the 1-3.
Almost leaving a 9-pin, up by 27 now. Chance to extend it to 37.
Set on the approach, that last little, you see those feet kind of shuffling around to keep himself loose.
You don't ever want to be completely static before you start. That's not how athletics work. Gotta go.
And how about that? We have seen a couple of breaks go Sterner's way today, and that is the third one I can remember. He's gotten them all on that bear pattern.
Yeah, I'm not sure the first two had a ton of impact on the result, but that one there is monstrous at this stage.
We saw that 6-pin during that match with Simonsen that just kind of hit Simonsen just off and running. EJ not doing that, knows there's a lot of match to go. But he's down 37 already.
It's tough this early in the game when you're already in a must-strike situation pretty much every shot. 52 games into this. Great pitch there, just hoping he doesn't ring 10. It's the only thing that he could have left on that pitch.
253 the max for Tackett.
Put a piece of tape in last time. Looked like it kind of hung on him just slightly. Got to throw a good one here. And that is a good one.
Couple of boards farther to the right with the projection, it looked like, before it started to pick up.
And he's able to get his ball back from there. At this point, you just got to keep striking. You got to hope that the breaks even out a little bit, and hopefully before the end of the game. That's absolutely the furthest point right he can get it to, but he was able to get it from that spot at around the 8th board consistently throughout the round robin. That's one of the big reasons why he's able to lead here today.
Well, Sterner says that cutting his hair is his best non-athletic talent. I think if he wins today, he can afford to have someone else cut his hair at the end of the week. That didn't seem like it was a noise issue.
No, I think that's just a timing thing. He just got a little bit out of whack with his start. Something keyed up didn't feel right. That double there does flip the onus back a little bit. 27-pin lead.
Five in a row.
The win. No problem.
He said coming into this stepladder, he felt like he was on a free roll. Anything he got above 5th place is going to be a bonus, and he's got a chance now, not just for this Illinois Open title, but he jumps into the top 8 in the USBC Cup standings, and he could be going to Texas, and he could be going to China.
He was 60 back with a game to go to Bill O'Neill, who has been probably the hottest player out here for the last, over the last 2 months or so. Both great everywhere he's been, the playoffs, the tour finals, everything, and was able to run him down. Shot 259 the last game to get into this final, and parlaying that into a big run. Wow.
Take down the left side of that rack light. Look at the confidence coming back. That's a swagger you don't see out of Sterner too often in 2019. It's good to see it back on him right now.
It's been something people have been waiting to see from him for a long time. Still got a chance to shoot 290 now. Crossing 18 at the arrows. This is a good projection. The good roll on that one. Able to send the student body left at the 7-pin. EJ must keep striking.
Gets it to Peel. Almost the 410, but the 10 goes late.
Wow. That's kind of the same shot we saw from Belmo, where he got it all the way to it and it actually overbounced off it. It just doesn't happen very often to EJ because he gets so far up the back of it that he's able to control that motion off the friction.
Well, we know no matter what, Tackett's going to be at the Flow Bowling ATX Invite on September 21st at Dart Bowl in Austin, Texas, and we know that EJ Tackett will be participating in the China Tiger Cup, but he could be seeing $20,000 in total going into two other people's pockets right now.
Max score 232.
Never say die. That's one thing you can always count on for EJ Tackett.
The one thing that EJ is doing that the other guys really haven't done is he's throwing a little slower and he's getting way more around it on the left lane than he is on the right lane. So he's going back and forth with his axis rotations.
Sterner working on 6 in a row. That's all EJ can do.
Yeah, he's already on 240 pace, so EJ's got to hope for an error somewhere to get him back in the match.
There's a noise out of the pit, it sounded like.
It's an unusual noise.
Yeah.
And that's, people talk about the distractions. Oh, they're professionals. You know, nothing should bother them. What bothers players is unusual noises. And the one thing about a bowling center is it's never quiet. So all the normal noises are unusual noises when you get on TV.
Yeah. Till now, it's crashing pins and bowling balls getting tossed around. And
yeah, white noise. There's just conversations. There's all kinds of things, and nothing really sticks out. But refocus, reload, and not his best. No, I think we had a pin roll around, but I'm pretty sure the rack hit that. So they're gonna have to respot the 3.
Yep, there you see the. Whoa! I don't know.
I think it hit it.
Okay, they look pretty close. They're letting it go. So Sterner's already up, shooting the spare.
Fell awfully fast.
Yeah. Covers it up, keeps his large advantage. Yeah, I wonder.
Not so sure I agree with that. That looked like a little faster than gravity once it tipped over. I don't know. But with the count being 7 pins apart, probably not a huge deal.
Yeah. But
now that being said, if he gets into, it would bring a chop into play. It also, he's going to need an open, which will probably include a lower count if it were to happen. Still on 249 pace. 9th frame.
Make it happen. Doesn't do it. And not the easiest of spares on the bear. With the 2-8 standing.
Just a little quick. Actually, wow, that's right at target too. So, and cross him at 18. That was way closer, about 16 and a half.
He is yet
4.5 at the arrows is a pretty big miss for Jason.
Yeah, he's yet to shoot at this spare in the Stepladder finals today. He's going to take the scenic route. Textbook cover.
2 basic ways to shoot it. You can move 4 to 5 boards right at your feet. Move your target maybe 1 to 2. Or you can just throw it slower and follow your strike line and basically make it so you follow through the front part of the lane the same way and not hit more friction in the front.
Yeah, it's all or nothing now for Tackett. He doesn't throw 4 strikes. Sterner.
About all you can do is shoot 232. Force Sterner to keep one on the lane early on.
That's left, and that's done.
He got it to the right fast, and it overhooked, and then he moved his eyes in a little bit, and it picked up quick on him. So,
not the way he wanted to finish the summer swing.
I'm actually with EJ on that one. I think it's pretty natural moves off that, and trajectory-wise to the front, it wasn't terrible. I mean, it wasn't something that looked like it was going to go way high, but it did pick up way quicker than the last shot did.
And Tackett, 19th on the Wolf, and he missed making cashes around that event by a single pin. Used some of that fire on the Bear, where Simonsen took him out. And now in the Illinois Open, it's going to be a second place finish. And it's going to be a second place finish in the USBC Cup points for Tackett as well.
A really fantastic week. But he will go home feeling like he's missed a couple of opportunities to add to a big total already. King of the Extra Frame Tour, as he calls himself.
Well, there is a jersey on the wall already here from EJ Tackett. Last time he visited Parkside Lanes in 2018, where he took down this title in the center. And it's one thing EJ hasn't been able to do yet in his PBA career. He hasn't won twice in the same center. All these different titles, he's repeated with the PBA Tour Finals, but they were in different centers. And that's something he really wants to do, win twice in a particular bowling center. And another opportunity gone by for EJ.
As great of a day as it is for Jason Sterner, Kyle Troop is an unhappy man right now.
Yes. Sterner taking Troop's place in the top 8 for the USBC Cup. Unofficially, Sean Rash is your winner, EJ Tackett second, Anthony Simonsen third, AJ Johnson fourth. Pardon me, Jason Sterner fourth, and AJ Johnson fifth in that USBC Cup points. So Rash will be receiving the cup this afternoon along with the $20,000 check. Sterner going to be receiving the $20,000 winner check and the trophy here for the Flow Bowling PBA Illinois Open. I think it's up to you. I'll cover you till you get out there and play, so we'll go from there. So there you see the two men that are going to be receiving $20,000 checks this afternoon. Jason Sterner for this Flow Bowling PBA Illinois Open. The handshake from the great Carmen Salvino as well. You know that means a lot to Jason Sterner at this point in time. And Sean Rash will end up receiving the USBC Cup and the $20,000 check that goes with that award.
Quadruple competition on today, but the two primary ones were the USBC Cup, which was contested over the course of the summer tour. Players accumulated points for each of the events that go to the summer tour. The last event of the USBC Cup was the Illinois Open. It's my pleasure to introduce PBA Tour Champion Rhino Page. Rhino? Rhino is here representing the United States Bowling Congress. We'll be awarding the cup to Sean Rash. Come on down, Sean.
Sean, on behalf of the United States Bowling Congress Board of Directors, it is my pleasure to present to you the 2019 USBC. Congratulations.
Long road for Sean Rash, but there you see the big smile, the big cup.
Join the USBC, take part in nationals. Great organization for a great sport. Thank you. Now, it's my pleasure, my great pleasure to introduce Mr. Dave Rocco, who's the global manager for the brands of Ebonite International. Dave will be awarding the trophy for the PBA Illinois Open to Jason Sterner. Come on down!
Award performance, outstanding, through four, for sure, future Hall of Famers for that title. So, on behalf of the brands of Ebonite International, congratulations on winning the Illinois Open.
Yeah, man.
Thank you, Dave. Last but still, remember, it's my pleasure to introduce PBA Hall of Famer Chris Barnes for some final words on this afternoon's competition. Chris.
Thank you. Jason, with one game to go, you were 60 back and you've parlayed that into a win over Bill O'Neill. Let's see, the whole list here. We got O'Neill, Simonsen, Belmonte, Rash, and now EJ Tackett. Is that pretty much how you saw it playing out?
I was terrified after that first gutter spare. I thought I was in full trouble, but things looked out my way, and just kept pushing, and that's how it goes. The momentum was towards me, and just kept riding away.
Well, Tommy proved that actually that's a key to victory. Actually, sorry, Sean. There's been a couple of tough years. You had a great run there around 13, 14, and had some great tournaments. It's been a little slower than you'd like. What have you done to get yourself back here today?
About 4 months ago, I made a grip change because I couldn't even get through 8 games without my thumb splitting open. So, bad season, and really just lost my confidence. And then committed to the changes. Dougie can't help me out. Went and spent a couple of days with him, and really just changed my life around, man. And started committing to it, started working out more, and here we are.
And the proof's in the pudding. There you go. Our 2019 Illinois champion, Jason Sterner. Great and thanks to our host here, Kurt Frieders, and the staff here at Parkside Lanes. It's been a tremendous event. Big round of applause for them as well. And as much as it pains me, Sean Rash has done a lot to help out the players and put this event together, including a giant youth clinic on the opening Saturday where over 180 kids were out here. Sean, you have anything to say?
First of all, I just want to thank our sponsors, Flow Bowling, Evan International, Dave Lockett, thank you and your team. Special thanks to USBC for giving me some extra money now. Big thanks to the Frieders and Parkside Lanes. They let me practice here. They stepped up when the PBA needed a host. Our fans have been unbelievable this week. Talking about USBC and being a member, this whole week that we had was our league meeting week. If I wasn't going to Sweden, I'd be bowling League Tuesday. So go bowl league, practice, learn from whoever you can, but our fans are by far the best. Without Flo this week, giving out to all across the building, you being in the booth, Phil, Lucas, it's been a blast this week. So it's been a hell of a week. I'm looking forward to an unbelievable meal and someone driving me home. I'll be in Europe in a couple days with Chris and everybody. Thank you all so much for being here tonight.
Once again, congratulations to Jason Sterner on winning this year. You can watch him and the 7 other qualifiers at the Flow Bowling ATX Cup September 21st, right here on Flow Bowling. Everybody's there.
And you will see all that coming up. Our next telecast here on Flow Bowling. There's your stepladder, Jason Sterner, taking care of 4 matches, bottom to top, and he's walking out of here $20,000 richer as the winner of the Illinois Open. Great bowling over the last 6 days here on Flow Bowling. This was a great championship match to wrap that up. And as we get into the game-winning shots in that championship match for Jason Sterner, we remind you to join us for the next live Flow Bowling event, the Flow Bowling ATX Invite, coming to you from Dart Bowl in Austin, Texas on September 21st. Your participants there will be Sean Rash, EJ Tackett, Anthony Simonsen, Jason Sterner, AJ Johnson, Bill O'Neill, Kyle Sherman, and Tommy Jones. It's going to have the feel of a major, no doubt about it. One-day event, $25,000 going to the winner. And these same 8 players will be going to China in late November to participate in the first ever PBA event on China soil, just outside of Shanghai, the China Tiger Cup. We'll see you September 21st. Thanks for joining us all week long here from the Flow Bowling PBA Summer Swing.
We want you to watch it and enjoy it. Thanks again, folks. Good night.